Happy Friday, happy Friday. This guy right here is not working. This one is. Got ice there. What we got here? Got no ice. And I think one of those four over there aren't working either, but we're gonna dive into this one first and see why this thing is beeping 2 times. So for those of you who don't already know, this machine is off on 2 beeps, which means, if I can get this to reset, which means that harvest time exceeded 20 minutes for 3 cycles in a row. We gotta double check. All right, just double checked. It's actually 2 cycles in a row. So harvest time exceeded 20 minutes, 2 cycles in a row. And we look up in here, you can already see the water is flowing like it should, but it's not flowing very fast. I don't know if you can actually see it, but this back evaporator doesn't have any water flow down the center of it. So I'm thinking that possibly the water filters may need to be changed out, or my water inlet valve is clogged or not opening completely. Found my water filter. I don't know if you can see that all the way back there, but that is at 0. We got no water pressure. So while this one was running, I started my timer and I went down here to figure out what was going on with this other one. This one's got no ice, but this one's got ice. Turned it on, beeping at me 7 times, and I've never run across this. I know what it is because I just checked this out down here. 7 beeps means that it's got a high voltage. Control voltage safeties are supposed to reset. Kind of strange. I think I'm just gonna have to see what type of voltage this machine is getting and see why it's beeping 7 times. Like I said, it's not very common that I run into this. Actually, I've never run into it before. Never really heard of somebody running into it. So this is gonna be interesting. So I just unplugged it, dropped the plug down there. We're gonna go ahead and see what our voltage is here. And we got 280, 281. It's kind of strange because this is the plug that these 2 machines have always been plugged into. So I have no idea why all of a sudden they're up at 280. Super strange. It should be 115. All of these machines are all powered the same. I don't understand why it just jumped up. I'm not a freaking electrician. I don't know if someone's been messing with stuff. So I'm doing a bunch of different things at the same time. This machine right here actually just went into harvest, and I want you to see the water flow down the evaporator. Very, very small. And like I said before, my water filter is right back there. It's pinned at 0. This has been in harvest for probably 4 or 5 minutes, and the ice is just barely falling off little by little. I am under the assumption that this machine here probably experienced a freeze up and then shut off on our 2 beep alarm, which just means harvest time exceeded 20 minutes for 2 cycles in a row. The machine shut off. It was off for long enough for the ice to all melt and fall out of there by the time I showed up. And now it's gonna work semi-well. Probably just need to change that water filter and then it'll work perfectly. But I'm not seeing the symptom of a freeze up because it just took me too long to show up. So when the water flow down the length of the evaporator isn't high enough, usually you experience a freeze up. That's what I'm thinking happened, and it just took us too long to get here, or too long for them to call us in, and now all the ice is melted out of there. So we're 25 minutes into freeze on this machine. I did go ahead and swap my plugs over for this guy. For whatever reason, this outlet is giving high voltage, so I moved my plugs all the way down to the far end. I did have to get down and crawl in there basically, but My beeping stopped. I did turn it off, but I'm gonna let this one make ice as well. See if everything is good. I should honestly label this as high voltage and make sure I let someone know about that, because it does look like a regular 110 outlet, but for whatever reason, someone has it wired up as 208 or 281, I guess, something ridiculous. 26 minutes later, we are now in harvest. We're going to keep an eye on this, see how long our harvest cycle takes. Very, very little flow of water in here. It's probably going to take quite a while. No matter what happens, I'm changing out that water filter. Probably going to change out the water filter for those guys down there as well. Probably just, there's 6 ice machines here, so probably just going to change them all out. So over 4 minutes into our harvest, let's see if we can get a good shot of what's going on over there. You still see ice cubes all over that evaporator. They should be mostly gone by this point. That's a 26-minute freeze, 4.5 minutes into harvest. Still have, there's a good shot, but more than likely it experienced a freeze up. That's just me guessing. Almost 6 minutes later, we're done harvesting. I'm thinking possibly, if you think that both these machines here are working off the same water filter, if they're both in harvest at the same time, and it's at night, and it's cold in this warehouse, the chances are that this thing would reach 20 minutes without harvesting, or without the thermistor. Where's it at? This wire here. Without this thermistor reaching 48 degrees, because it froze up, and then it was cold, and then it wasn't getting water, and we're just gonna go ahead and swap out the water filter, and everything will probably be all right. So I ran out and got all of my water filters, and the hits just keep on coming. This thing's in freeze. I got no water flow, and the water trough is empty down there. There's nothing in there. My motor is humming. I don't know why it didn't fill up with water. I don't know if it's because my water filter's clogged or what the deal is, but let's go ahead and turn this back on and see if this even tries to energize. Okay, it did. A little bit of water flow. I don't understand where all the water would have gone off to. Unless, of course, my water flow is not working properly, or maybe my water pump got burnt out from that high voltage problem that we had back here. Who knows? I'm gonna let it try again. I'm gonna change out the water filters real quick. So, although my water flow improved a little bit, my water gauge back there is still teeing out at 0. I traced the source of the problem back to this guy right here. That's not letting enough water flow through. That's not the right way to do it, especially for these water hog Hoshizakis. I'm gonna recommend that they change that setup, although my response, or excuse me, the response I'm gonna get is, well, it's been working for years, we don't need to change it. And I'm gonna say okay, and then they're gonna call me back, and we're gonna have this conversation all over again. All done with that one down here. Now we're back to this guy that was having our high voltage issue in the back. Looks like we're having more issues, so we're in freeze. My lines are all iced up. My water pump is super hot, but it's not pumping any water. I wonder what the issue is. This is actually really hot too. Why is that hot? I think it's just hot because the water pump's so hot. This thing's gonna cycle into harvest, but I don't know if you can get a good shot, but inside there, I was looking at it earlier, and you can kind of see the pump is trying to turn, kind of shaking back and forth. I don't know if you can see it. I want to make sure it's not clogged up or something. All right, so here we go. We're back into freeze. My water pump is nice and hot. It's humming, but it's not passing water. I traced my wires, also looked at my wiring diagram, which is over there on the inside of my top panel. I put my leads in black and red. I'm getting 117. This is the machine, like I said before, where this outlet for some reason is 280 volts, which is freaking still blowing my mind. I taped it up. I'm gonna throw a sign on there so no one plugs anything into there. But it looks like my water pump's burnt out, so we're gonna get a new one of those on order. And hopefully there's nothing else wrong with this machine. Figured I'd throw the Hoshizaki hat on for that one. One machine, 2 beep error, harvest time exceeded 20 minutes, probably froze up because of a water pressure issue, a water filter clogged, plus the way they're sourcing their water is kind of not the way it should be done. Second machine, kind of crazy, never seen that before. A high voltage, 280 volts out of a regular 120 plug or 115 outlet. Like, that's kind of crazy. Water pump ended up getting burnt up because of it. I figured the safety would have shut the machine off before the water pump had a chance to burn out, but I guess not. We're gonna have that water pump ordered. We're gonna throw that in. Machine should work just fine. At least the compressor didn't get burnt up. If you guys are interested in knowing more about ice machine troubleshooting, check out Ice Machine 411, your go-to spot for all things ice machines. We'll see you guys next time.